Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon, everybody. I'm Pete Callaway of Callaway Cars. My dad, Reeves, started the company in 1977 in the garage of a borrowed home in Connecticut. We'll get into that a little bit. And we have another son of Reeves here as well, Walker. Say hello. And his mom, Sue Callaway. I'll just give a little bit of an introduction. I know a lot of you guys know who we are, and maybe some of you don't know as much of who we are. But Paul Deutschman, famed longtime Callaway designer, is here with us as well, and especially with Dave McClellan here as well, former chief engineer of Corvette in the C4 era. So honored to have you guys here and to be here. So thank you, Ed, and David, if you're here, for bringing all of us together. What a great crowd of not just cars, but of course the people behind them that have done a great job in preserving all that we've done over the years. So the company was founded in 1977, essentially with no plan. My dad was fresh off of winning the Formula V championship in 1973, and he thought he was on his way to being a professional race car driver. But as he says it, Roger Penske just wasn't calling. So he said, maybe I'll go to work for Bob Bondurant in the first year of a driving school. Bob had the idea that you could train, an average human being how to be a good race car driver. So my dad went and rode in the right seat for a year, and he said, that was too much for me. But they did a driving program for BMW. Now this is a little backstory because people think Callaway and Corvette go back into the history from the get-go, but actually there was a 10-year period prior to Corvette. And they were using a BMW 320 from 1977 as a program for training BMW dealers. And my dad thought, geez, this is a great chassis balanced car. It needs about twice as much horsepower as it has. Keep in mind, this is 1977, so there is no performance in the car world. So he asked for one of the used up school cars because he wanted to bring it home and fabricate a turbo system. He had an idea turbocharging was the way of making more power out of the cars. So he did it. He made a rudimentary turbo system. He called his friend Don Sherman in New York City from Car and Driver and said, hey, Don, why don't you take this 320 for a week? He did that. Don wrote a glowing one-pager in the back of Car and Driver. And it made it sound like this guy in Connecticut had a business that you could order a turbo system from and double the power of your 320 in a weekend's time. So sure enough, the phone starts ringing, and it forced him into producing these kits for BMW. So the truth was he didn't have hardly a shop, or as he said, even a drill press. But he had the know-how of how to fabricate and do sort of all aspects of an automobile from the Formula V building efforts. So he hired his friends in the neighborhood who taught him how to weld and to fabricate and to build these kits, and Callaway Turbo Systems was in business. That evolved into kits for other BMWs, Volkswagens, Porsches, the Alfa Romeo 2.5 GTV6 in 1984 was the first kind of interest we had from an OE. Alfa Romeo was having their lunch eaten by the Maserati B-Turbo. And if Alfa didn't figure something out quick, they were done. So they called up this small company in Connecticut, and we produced about 37 of these twin-turbo Alfas before they pulled the plug on North America. But one of these Alfas ended up with Dave McClellan's team. And as I understand it, you can correct me if there's any edits.
I would never correct you.
Dave said, we've got this 84 Alfa with a twin turbo system on it, and this thing's a dead ringer for an 84 Corvette. We have this program for turbocharging Corvettes going on, but it's having some troubles, and would you guys be interested in looking at a Corvette program? And that was the big call. That was the big call. And I'll let you guys take that part of the history from there. But there's a lot of, all the examples of the Callaway projects over the years are thankfully outside of this building. which is great. It's a great amount of history. 2027. I mean, I can't believe it, but this is going to be our 50th year anniversary, and 40th coming up with the Corvette team. So we're grateful to have been involved in so many cool projects, and I'm sure you guys are going to talk about the sledgehammer and everything else, and but I just wanted to introduce myself. Thank you all for coming. Talk about the future of what's coming down the pipeline for Callaway. We're excited very much for the new gen small block V8. Let's hear it for internal combustion engines. Yeah, right. And we're excited. We got that opens up a new window of products for us with the new Grand Sport coming out, the X variants, the trucks and the SUVs. Which, if you don't know, we supercharge those. Those are available as Callaway vehicles, available at select Chevrolet GM dealerships around the country with a warranty and financing. That's kind of what we do. That's what pays the bills. But the fun projects, the high level stuff is what we're here to talk about. So I will pass it over to Paul, and look forward to meeting all you guys and spending time with you this weekend.
Thank you for that intro. You saved me a lot of work, Pete. Anyway, thanks once again to Dave and Ed and all the organizers. Thank you to everybody who's brought their cars today, and to see all the aero bodies and all the stuff that we've done over the years here, all the your enthusiasm. It's a gift that keeps on giving, and I really, really appreciate it. And it's great. May there be many more years. So I did a presentation last year, and David asked me to do another one this year. And I thought, I can't rehash what I did last year. That's just not on. And I wanted to do something really unique, something that nobody's seen. I don't even think Pete's seen some of this stuff, and that I'm going to show you. And importantly, I wanted to offer some insight into the man, Reeves Callaway, because it wasn't just about developing fast Corvettes. So it's fitting that the sledgehammer's here at this year's summit. As some of you know, that was the first collaboration between myself and Callaway. And when Reeves asked the question, can you design a body for a car that's going to go 250 miles an hour? Of course, the answer was yes, but in the back of my mind is this for real, or is this a flight of fantasy? Importantly, when the sledgehammer was clocked at 254 miles an hour, I made a memo to myself saying I would always give Reeves' suggestions due consideration, no matter how outrageous they were. And so no idea was to be considered out of bounds. Reeves had this limitless curiosity to explore all things automotive and think way outside the box. And I particularly loved our conversations that would start, Paul, what if we, and whatever. They typically trigger a conversation, a few sketches. Sometimes the ideas were seen through to fruition, and that's what the projects we're familiar with. Sometimes they reached partial development, and then something would come up, too expensive or whatever, and they'd get canceled. And sometimes they would just be a conversation and stay a conversation and a few sketches and not go any further than that. So today I'd like to offer a unique window into those projects that for some reason never saw the light of day. And rather than let these ideas be unseen forever, I decided to go into my archives and retrieve some of the sketches, and then with the help of AI, brought these sketches to a realistic life, a bit like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. So I hope you enjoy seeing this glimpse into the magnificent Callaway machines that never were. And I just wish Reeves could see this. So shortly after the Sledgehammer project, Callaway was approached by Avanti. And Avanti was, in the late 80s, was owned by John Cafaro, but not to be confused with the chief Chevrolet designer, John Cafaro. This is another one who developed shopping malls, I believe. And they tasked Callaway to re-engineer and redesign the classic Studebaker Avanti. It was originally the work of Raymond Loewy and Tom Kellogg. And Reeves asked me to come up with a concept that would be presented in a very brief 2 weeks later at Avanti's headquarters in Youngstown, Ohio. My design pitch was going okay until seeing that when Cavero ushered in his wife into the room, the meeting, and he declared that she made all the design decisions. Well, things for whatever reason went south from there, and the project never got the green light. However, to me, the seed had already been planted. What would the next Avanti, what should it look like? So here, the important things to point out, the Avanti was the first car to be called to have a Coke bottle shape. And you probably know also that the Coke bottle, which Ed provided me with this good prop, was designed by Raymond Loewy. So it was just fitting that his car design followed the Coke bottle shape. So that was with a lot of stuff that I work on, I like to retain not throw everything out and start from scratch, but retain the elements of the original, the classic car, and just reinterpret them. So the key points, the Coke bottle shape is clearly there, and the aperture of the glass with the upswept C-pillar, that is a very important feature, and the cutaway rear glass. And you see the forward pitch on the wheel arches of the Avanti. I wanted to hint at that without doing the same thing. So turn the form into brake cooling duct inlets. So in the rear view, you can clearly see the link between the original Avanti and thing with a very tapered back end, which is one of the really nice features of the car. And in the front, the original had very big, daunting headlights, so I wanted to retain that with large lit surfaces and the grille-less look, and which would translate very nicely into an electric car, should Avanti ever have a future. I'm not sure where Avanti's at now and who owns it, but if it were to come back someday. Il Tempo Gigante. Pete, you probably know all about this because Reeves, when we would talk about a project that was over the top, it was referred to as Il Tempo Gigante, which isn't the big time, it's the gigantic time. And believe it or not, it comes from a show that I suspect Reeves used to watch with you, Pete, when you were very young, called the Pinchcliffe Grand Prix. And somebody actually built the car, and it's become a national cultural symbol in Norway. So go figure, can't make this stuff up. So what's this got to do with Callaway? Well, we were one thing could be maybe a over-the-top track car done in Penske Sunoco colors. Just basically a wild card. And another iteration, which we referred to as Il Tempo Gigante, was luxury cars. So here, something very dramatic proportions, yet elegant, super powerful. But my favorite is this one. Kind of mean, but nevertheless elegant and very powerful, forceful. Yeah, yeah. So at the opposite end of the spectrum to Il Tempo Gigante was another theme that Reeves brought up often, which was he referred to as the simple sports car. And this was meant to be a complete antithesis, countering, cars which are becoming more and more complex. So, and Reeves' particular idea for this was to go back to basics, a very well engineered kit car built with IKEA level simplicity, and would use a common power plant from VW or Honda. And to popularize the concept, his vision was staging on the weekends, staging car builds in public spaces like parking lots of Home Depot, for example, and just having a group of kids build one and kind of learn something at the same time. It's really cool idea. That in this particular concept, it's doorless, topless, barchetta. Could have a carbon fiber monocoque chassis, weather-resistant interior, and so think four-wheeled motorcycle, simple fun, super fun, and very simple, back to basics. So yeah, I really wish we'd had the chance to do something like that. This is the GT1 in its early race form. The C7 Callaway, not to be confused with the Corvette C7. This preceded the Corvette C7. It was just the nomenclature that Callaway was using. It was a 7 project. This was first built car from the ground up for Callaway. Very innovative carbon fiber, full carbon fiber chassis, front mid-engine layout. It raced briefly in GT1 and showed that it's huge potential when it raced at Daytona, and but it just the rules in GT1 changed and it became prohibitively expensive to carry on. But Reeves did clearly saw the day when this car would become a street car, and so the street version could look something like that. Just clean, no, not the race car version, and so a lot of Callaway styling features, but very smooth, very soft, and which was a look that Reeves particularly liked. The Cyclone V16 Special. The sledgehammer, I think Reeves' interest was really in pushing the envelope, breaking speed limits, records, and limits too, for that matter. But so his fascination was, in this particular case, was to the sledgehammer had already checked the box of fastest street car. So the Cyclone project, the idea was to break the land speed record for 4-liter naturally aspirated wheel-driven car and which would probably take place at Bonneville Salt Flats. The engine was actually built and tested, and it's four Yamaha four-cylinder engines, Siamese together into a V16, and that's Dan Gurney's All-American Racers was commissioned to work on aerodynamics, bodywork, engineering. So this project got it. It went quite a long way before finally it had to pull the plug, because to achieve those speeds on salt with a wheel-driven car, the wheels wanted to use narrow, faired wheels for aerodynamic benefit, but the power had to get down onto the salt, and so it needed to be four-wheel drive. Otherwise, it would literally spin its wheels. And ultimately, I think it was the cost to develop a four-wheel drive system, which the project, correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, but the project at that point never saw the light of day. A few other images. That was probably more likely what it would look like. And there it is at the salt flats. Again, flipping back to another extreme end of the spectrum, Callaway golf cart. Ely Callaway Golf. Why not? You know, the names affiliated with golf so strongly, and I don't know, but I think golf carts could use a really neat design. They all kind of look stodgy to me. So anyway, food for thought. Food for thought. El Calamino. We're always trying to come up with stuff to do with Corvettes. So one idea was to just fit a pickup truck bed in the back of a Corvette, and El Camino style. Only this one is the El Calamino. So remove the rear hatch, drop in a durable rear liner, and voila, your trips to Lowe's would never be the same again.
Sidebar, we sent out an April 1st press release with bearings of this some years ago, and people thought it was real.
There. Another project which we discussed at length was, both Reeves and I were intrigued by this 1955 Mercedes race car transporter called the Rennabteilung. It's on display in the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Stuttgart. And of course, the inevitable question was, if Callaway were to do one, what would it look like? This is probably the most practical embodiment of the car transporter. However, we started brainstorming and things took a walk on the wild side. And this is like a reptilian, telescopic glass idea, which Reeves really, really liked. And then another configuration was a vehicle with two giant side glass hatches, and the cockpit in the front was a one-piece clamshell that would raise up, and you access the cockpit via the covered steps, and there would be fly-by-wire controls that are installed on the clamshell, so the controls come down to you. And the car, the idea, the concept was to mount it on a turntable. So if you wanted to display the car, you could just have the car rotating on a turntable. There'd be overhead lighting if you wanted to display it at night. And an idea was to have adjustable height suspension so that as the ramp telescopes out, the whole transporter could tilt to one side to bring the ramp down to ground level and unload the car. So kind of a cool, fun concept. It never got further than what you see here, but kind of nice to see. So the last projects that Reeves and I worked on was since the C8 came out, and we were thinking mid-engine Corvettes, and we did a lot of sketching, a lot of brainstorming, and so on and so on. This is like a more compact mid-engine version. You can see a little bit of original Speedster glass line in there. And of course the cool split window at the back, but you exposing the engine. So again, we did a lot of just brainstorming, and these are some of the more interesting concepts that came out. I particularly like this one.
What year was that?
The year would have been shortly before Reeves passed away. So it was 3 years ago. Yeah. I go back. Yeah, just. And then these images are more based on the actual, retaining the C8 platform and rebodying it. So. I'd really love to see some of these things in real life, but
I talked to the man over there.
yeah. So to finish up the presentation, the last project that Reeves and I worked on was a C8 based GT car, and I started rendering the concepts and so on, and actually started sculpting a clay model, and then Reeves passed away in July 23. And I really didn't feel the motivation to finish the clay model. So learning this, there's a fellow that's been a longtime friend of Callaway, the company, and Dr. Michael Roberts. And Mike is a retired U.S. Army colonel, 29 years of experience, service, and he's based in San Antonio, Texas. He's a master scale model automobile builder. So when he learned about the project, he stepped up to the plate and said, "Hey, do you mind if I finish the 3D model for you?" And I thought, this is great. This is a great opportunity. And so I said, go ahead. And I provided him with the renderings that had been done to date. And so earlier, a few weeks ago, I contacted Mike and said, there's an event in June in Maryland about that C8 model that you were working on. Any chance of having it here today? And the answer was yes. Here in 1/24th scale is the Callaway C8 GT race car. And you're more than welcome to come up and look at it. it's extremely fragile. So best not to handle it. But anyway, that and he also, as a bonus, sent a Callaway C8 supercharger installed and front splitter, rear valence. So more than welcome to come up and take a look at these fabulous. These are handmade models. This is completely made from scratch, and he's done a really amazing job. So to conclude, I hope this presentation has provided a little more insight into the man behind the cars that we all love. Thank you very much.
Have a few minutes for questions, if anybody had any questions for Paul.
Yep, shoot if you have questions. If they're technical, Pete's here. If they're to do with body design, I'm here. So.
Hold on.
Oh, I don't know if I want this to be on here. This may be a stupid question, but anyway, you show these pictures that you've done, and I'm like, well, what did you take a picture of? I mean, how did you create that?
AI. It starts off with a pencil or pen sketch, and you can basically tell AI to render it as a realistic car.
And how did you do this years ago?
These were all done a few weeks ago.
Okay. 'Cause
But I go into my files, dig out the old sketches, scan them, and then
and let the AI
that,
then
and
create that.
since that's the era we're living in,
Sure.
you know, this is what we can, you know, the visuals are just have.
I was just being blown away
realistic,
that you could create this back in 1979
No.
or something.
No, these are all old sketches from the
But the
80s,
AI is the one that
90s,
made it.
and from then that have just been
Thank you.
AI'd.
This is the best use of AI that I've seen.
Yeah, good, because there's some pretty bad ones out there. Yeah.
All right, well, we want to thank Paul for his presentation and
Thank you.
insight.
Thank you.
We're going to take a few minute, maybe 5-10 minute break. Dave McClellan, the chief engineer for the Corvette program, responsible for the creation of the LT5 engine, the C4 Corvette, and all the great things and all the cars that we have here. So Dave's going to do a presentation, so take a quick break, grab a water, whatever you need. I'll set Dave up and we'll go forward with that. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.